And in your eyes, normally when you combine human judgment and statistical analysis, would you say most of the times the human knowledge can really enrich the forecast, or sometimes it could even ruin the forecast?
It can absolutely do both. I mean, we've done studies that show that when it comes to looking at, 50,000 different forecasts, consensus versus statisticals, they actually, majority of them did worse than the statistical forecast. So we've seen that. I've seen other studies, full disclosure, I've seen
Wait,
other
wait a
studies.
second, hold on. What do
Huh?
you think about it?
Do what?
What did you think about it?
Well, let me tell you, the other studies have showed that adding statistical, relative other, as far as judgmental and subjective inputs, added up to 6% more than based on the statistical forecast. So I've seen other studies that show the exact opposite. So I've seen both studies that would say, no, human judgment doesn't do it. Yes, I see human
So what's
judgment
the
does do it.
conclusion?
My
I,
conclusion personally, it's based on the process. If you don't have a good process in place that understands bias, has a capability of building consensus, then you probably are not going to do as well with some of the judgmental inputs if they go unchecked or you don't have the right process to filter them in. With good processes and good consensus, then absolutely the more relevant inputs you have into a process, it will absolutely improve a process. That's one of the principles of forecasting. The more relevant insights you have, the better your outcome is going to be. But you have to understand bias. You have to build consensus. Consensus helps reduce some of that bias and improves the accuracy then as well. So you need those aspects and good process in place to really integrate in. I don't think, machine learning on its own is going to be able to replace some of the human insights and human judgments. You're going to need those with it, but you're going to need a good process to be able to filter those in.
I totally agree. I think personally that AI and technology in general is, as you said it yourself, it's just an enabler. At the end of the day, you need to have knowledge, methodology, and then technology. It doesn't work just technology, because if you give me the most advanced tool, maybe I don't know, something that I should build a bed with, it would probably look a bit messy, okay? Because I need to have the knowledge, and the knowledge should be structured, the process should be structured. I need to have the right guidance, and then I can really utilize this tool to build, I don't know, a magnificent tower. But it doesn't work just technology. It would never work just knowledge, because you can know statistics, but as you said yourself, planners are overwhelmed, okay, and they need to save time. And studies have shown that planners, they spend 70% of their time just working on gathering and processing data, instead of really go and investigate root cause analysis, and just focus and ask your this basic simple question: how can I do much better in the next planning cycle versus today's result? So basically, I need to have this continuous improvement mindset, and I totally agree with you that it's a nature of knowledge, processes, and technology. You said also people, of course, it's above and beyond. The most important thing is it's people, because people are moving processes, and processes should be supported by technology.
Quick example kind of I think plays off of what
Yeah,
you just
great.
said. If you look at, people are familiar with Chat GPT. I mean, a lot of people are starting to utilize it more. I wouldn't ask it a question I'm not have an idea of what the answer may be. So I already have an estimate of what the idea is. So I'm not going to ask
Right.
it blindly, because if I ask and it gives me an answer, I have no idea, and it can give some pretty outrageous answers in
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes. So
Trust
I'm
me.
going to ask it questions. I know approximately what the answer is going to be. If I'm looking at it to help me create code, I know what that code I want it to do on it, So that is what I'm using ChatGPT for. And if it gives me something outrageous, I'm either going to change the prompt or I'm going to adjust the output. Let's put that same context into Intelichain or any kind of software. Okay. I'm not going to ask it to produce a forecast that I have no idea what the outcome was going to be, and
Right.
no idea what kind of directional and what variables it's going to use. I'm not going to ask it a question blindly. And if it gave me a result that's outside of what I think is reasonable from my experience and me sitting as a planner, I'm going to change the inputs, change the features, or change the, what it's looking at, or adjust the outputs into add intelligence that I do know and trying to reduce the bias. That's how I'm going to use the system. But absolutely, it's going to make things quicker. It's going to be able to utilize different and more data sources out there than I have the capabilities of synthesizing myself on my own. That's where I'm going to use it for.
I think it's a brilliant analogy. I'm going to use it in our courses because none of our courses, but because I really think it's brilliant. It's a brilliant example. It's a brilliant analogy because at the end of the day, I've never really thought about it this way, but it's exactly as you described it. You pretty much like you somewhat know more or less what the numbers might look like, but you just need I don't know, someone that will tell you, let me take the decision for you. But you know that it's more or less in this comfort zone. You feel comfortable with those numbers, so you say it's okay. It's AI said it. It's not me, but you're right. There's something about it. Very interesting. Very interesting insight, actually. Thank you for it. I think it's a great example.